but you will find few leaders who are not big picture thinkers. It's very, very true. If you're really leading, and you will show you, this book again walks through this, what you can do if you follow certain things by big picture thinking. And that's so important for all of you in this room. As you know, you are in the mentor program, and the people who are getting mentored, we are having great hopes for you that you being the next big leaders for this laboratory. So by the way, I think you never can have enough mentors in your life, in your personal life, in your professional life. So this is the reason I love this program so much, because this is, and we'll also come back to this one, why this is important in the shared thinking. So extremely important. Leaders must be able to do many important things for the people. See the vision before their people do. And this is also so true. If you're sitting around, you have different talents. We also will talk about this. And if you're a big picture thinker, you see what the vision is. You identify this a lot of times for the people around you. And then you're building the teams who support some of your big ideas. If you do this, it will allow you to size up situations, taking into account many variables. So there you see is things which are working great. You see concerns. You understand what's coming towards you because you're looking at the big picture. You're thinking the big picture there. So if you do this, that you size up the situations, you can do that you sketch a picture of where the team is going, including any potential challenges or obstacles. So you know you might hit this roadblock. You can think about, oh my God, we need to shift the focus. So, but it all comes back to the big thinking. Again, the book is very important that this is not the only thing you do, and there's 10 other elements of thinking. But a lot of times what I'm seeing here in this laboratory, that we're using, I would say this, our sponsors as excuses, where we say, oh, the sponsor doesn't want to do this, or the sponsor doesn't want to do that, or this is what they're asking us to do. And of course we need to follow the answer the mail, bow down and do what our sponsors want. Absolutely. But we should not leave the big thinking away, because if we are not thinking about the big things, who should do it? Because a lot of times in Washington, they lost the big thinking. They are just following their nitty little grimy political endeavors, and they're going step by step by step. So we need to be the organization who provides the ideas to them. So we need to have this big thinking incorporated in our structure. So this means have crazy ideas. Think about big things like what we are pushing right now in our directorate. Can you have wireless charging across every highway here in the United States? Can we, what we have heard here at Oak Ridge, can we build some small modular reactors down the future? Can we get a handle on the climate change and what does this mean, and how can we predict what's happening in the regional area? Let's worry about the big things and do not leave this out. Don't take the responsibility and give it to our sponsors. No, we have this responsibility for our organization, but also for our country, to think about the big picture and bring this together. If you see this, then it will lead you that you show how the future connects with the past to make the journey more meaningful. That's also very important. A lot of times we forget what happened in the past. So again, the big thinking not only goes forward, it also goes backwards. You have the memory of the organization. You look at this at a large scale, and you're connecting all these different elements together with this to go laser sharp towards your goal, what you want to accomplish. And this then helps you to seize the moment when the timing is right. A lot of times, big thinking, big ideas takes a long time to pull together. But if you have the overarching picture, then you know when the time is right to execute. And you then are the leader for your team to push and advance this area. That's very important, and you see how it all builds onto this one element, which is big thinking, across all these different elements. Focused thinking. That's also so important, because this is another point in our way we're living today with BlackBerries and driving and texting and phone and computer and emails. And we are losing this ability to have this focused thinking. First thing is identify your priorities for yourself, your family, and also your team. I'm a strong believer that you have to have a balanced life. It's not only your job, it's also your family, and it's your community. You have this three-legged stool you have to sit on. So you need to worry about all these three elements, because on the long run, if I push you only in your work, Sooner or later, you will break. You cannot sustain this on the long run. Again, I'm talking 10, 15, 20 years. You have to have a balanced life. All elements are important. You have to have very clear priorities for each of this. What do you want to have accomplished when you're 95 years old? I interviewed many, many hundreds of people, and I always ask everybody this one very specific question. I asked, okay, so imagine you're 95 years old, you're still in good shape, you're walking up Mount Lincoln, and then you're looking down to the valley, and you start to reflect on your life. What do you want to accomplish that is standing up there in the age of 95, and you look back and you say, hey, this was a great life? It's very interesting. Do we think about this really? We have to, because it identifies our priority. It's focused thinking. And again, this is not only your personal life, it's also your professional life, it's your community. This is extremely important. Discover your gifts. Again, something we're not doing so well a lot of times. You're having a lot of very ambitious people, and they come to my office, and they think, well, I want to be the next ALD. That's great, but is this the next step in your career? I like this little Charlie Brown saying. I don't know if you have seen this episode. I tried to find it, but I couldn't find it on the internet. But Charlie Brown's very frustrated. He said, I never will be a professional baseball player. And then Lucy replies, Charlie, your thinking is too far ahead. What you need to do is to set more immediate goals for yourself. Start with the next inning. When you go out to pitch, see if you can walk out to the mound without falling down. That's exactly what our life is. Of course, we have to be ambitious. We need to look in the future. We have to have our priorities straight. But don't go out so far that your goal is so far in the distance that you will not be able to achieve it. It will break you. You're getting frustrated, or sooner or later you think you will not achieve it. I think you need to have high priorities, but stake out the path to get to your end goal. And don't make these leapfrogs which will take you so far in the distance that you get frustrated by not achieving your next goal. Lay it out. Treat this, what I was saying, treat your career and also your personal life like you're writing a business plan or research proposals. Lay it out. There's go, no-go decisions. It might be that you come to this point where you say, this is not the place here at Oak Ridge anymore. I need to go somewhere else. You know what? That's okay. I mean, we might miss you, but at the end, it is okay, because you have to have your priorities. From the management side, I was about how can we then incorporate your priorities? What can we do to keep you here? But at the end, you need to look out for yourself, and I think it's very important that you have your priorities straight in life, in all different aspects. Develop your dream. If you want to achieve great things, you need to have a great dream. And this comes back, what I said, the difference between a priority and then what our goals are in the dream. First, develop what is your dream. So when you go up there, if you're now in our age and you're looking ahead many, many years, say, what is my dream when I'm standing up there and say, I'm 95? What is my dream? What do I really want to dream about? If you have your dream, this will then reflect into your goals. You define your dream, and then you identify the goals to reach your dream. That's so important. You have to have a big dream. If you're not dreaming big, by definition, the outcome will always be smaller anyway. So if you're not thinking to change the world, if you just say, my goal is to read this book in 5 years, do you think I will achieve more? No. I only will have this book read in 5 years. So have a big dream and think where you're going with this. Again, all this is focused thinking, because it all comes down to this one element: identify your priorities. So how can you stay focused? That's another very important element, because these days it's really tough to be focused. Very, very tough. Remove distractions. Don't do easy things first, or hard things first, or urgent things first. Do first things first. The activities that give you the highest return. That's so important. I was saying in my job, it would be easy to just follow bureaucracy. I would push paper from left to right, and I will do this 100%, 120% of my time, and I would be completely busy. Would this help me to achieve my dream? No. At the end, I pushed a lot of paper. What's the outcome? So identify what is the most important thing for you, and then do this first. First things first. Make time for focused thinking. It's very important. Identify how your life is and what can you take this time and the room where you do focused thinking. Everybody's approaching different. Some people who know me a little bit better know that we bought this farm. My favorite time for my focused thinking is when I'm cutting our grass. So we're having this about 3 hours of a job to cut grass. And I know I'm still double dip because I'm driving the tractor, but I mean, that's really straight. You just go down the line. So it's the perfect time for me to do focused thinking. I don't hear my BlackBerry. I don't even hear it when it's vibrate. I don't hear anything. Kids can shout. My tractor is pretty loud. I don't hear anything. I can focus on my thinking. So this is, for me, my therapy hours, where I sit there and I really focus. What do I want to accomplish? What's important? What do I need to do? Where I'm stacking up with my goals and my dreams. Use this and find this place. And then, again, also interesting, there was research done who showed that if you basically have many things to do and you're constantly jumping between these tasks, you are not as efficient as if you take one, you finish it, and you go to the next one. Of course, we're all having several things we're running in parallel. And in these days, we need to do this. But don't get lost that you're having so many different tasks that you just scramble between all of them. In the end, nothing is getting done. I see this in so many people that this is a real problem. So they're really busy. They're working, and they're so busy. But at the end, they're not accomplishing anything because they're just getting lost in all the different tasks they're doing. So prioritize what you need to do. And then if there's certain tasks which are important and you just don't have time for doing this, tell somebody and say, look, this is what I'm doing. Talk to your manager. Tell them, look, this is my strategy. That's what I'm working on. Are you agreeing to this one? And then talk to them. There are 3 people like you want to be treated, you would like to know. And then go and execute. Get it done. Make it happen. Keep items to focus on before you. That's a really good trick. Sherry, for example, she is fantastic. I mean, my wife always says, how could you even, because at home I'm sometimes not very functional, honestly. So my wife always asks me, how do you do this at work? How can you even function? How do you put all this together? I have a hard time to fill out a form to go to a doctor. And it's very simple. Sherry helps me to constantly keep the really important things in front of me. I tell her, Sherry, I need to do this. I'm sending her an email, remind me the next morning, early when I walk in, I need to do this, I need to do this. Keep my brain on the focus. Help me. Write a note, stick it on your computer. Have a folder on your desk where you see, oh my God, I have to do this. And sooner or later, trust me, you're seeing this folder, after a couple of days, you're getting so sick of having this folder on your desk, you do it, and you get it done. If you take it and put it in a shelf, a day later, you're getting 100 other emails, and you will never remember this, and it's out of sight, and you're forgetting it. So keep it in front of you in one or the other way. Send yourself a memo, have a message popping up at your screen, find a method which helps you, but keep the items before you, which you made a decision to focus on. Again, that's important. It's not always important to follow 200 emails a day. Well, some are, but again, use it as a priority. What do you need to do first? First things first. Set goals. Again, how should your goals be done? Because it's also what I said. If you set your goals to be the President of the United States in 5 years, it might be a challenge. So how do you set good goals? Goals should be clear enough to be kept in focus. Again, what I said, you need to understand what the goals are. It have to be kept in focus. Close enough to be achieved, and helpful enough to change lives. That's also very important. If you set your goals too low, again, I said, reading this book in 5 years, it doesn't change anybody's life. When I read this in 5 years, who cares? So put your goals that they're meaningful, but don't put your goals so far out like Charlie Brown that he is all frustrated because he cannot be a professional baseball player. This goal is too far out. It's a dream, that's correct. It's a dream, and from there he can work out how do you achieve this.